left your coffee on the table, your keys were by the door. I thought you went out for a minute, like you'd done 100 times before. I waited for your footsteps, I waited for the sound of you calling from the hallway, but you never came around. Your jacket was still hanging, your picture was still there, but something felt different, like you had vanished into thin air. I called your phone that evening, it rang but you didn't answer. I sent a simple message, are you okay? Nothing came back. I kept telling myself you'd walk through that door, but the silence kept growing and I couldn't ignore it anymore. You were gone without a word, gone without goodbye. You left me with 1,000 questions and no reason why. You were gone without a word, like we never had a life. How could someone I love so much disappear overnight? I would have understood the truth, even if it made me hurt, but you left me standing there, gone without a word. 3 days became a week, then a month passed by. I stopped checking my phone, but I still wondered why. Your sister called one morning, she said, I think you should know you would move to another city and you didn't want me to follow. I asked her if you hated me, she said, no, that's not it. She said you've been struggling and didn't know how to face it. You left because you were frightened, you thought you would let me down. So instead of asking for help, you disappeared from town. I was angry when I heard it, I cried until I couldn't, because I would have stayed beside you if you'd only let me. I didn't need you to be perfect, I didn't need you to be strong. I only needed you to trust me enough to tell me something was wrong. You were gone without a word, gone without goodbye. You left me with 1,000 questions and no reason why. You were gone without a word, like we never had a life. How could someone I love so much disappear overnight? I would have understood the truth, even if it made me hurt, but you left me standing there, gone without a word. A year went by and I finally stopped waiting. I moved the things into a box and put them in the closet. I didn't throw them away, I just wasn't ready. Then one afternoon I received a letter. Your handwriting looked the same and suddenly my hands were shaking. You wrote, I'm sorry. You wrote, I was afraid. You said you couldn't face me after all the mistakes you'd made. You said I thought disappearing would make things easier, but every day you were gone, you missed me more. You didn't ask me to forgive you, you didn't ask me to come. You just wanted me to know that leaving wasn't because you didn't love me. I read that letter twice, then I sat there for a while. I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't anymore. I understood something that day, sometimes people run away, not